what I see happening now is not what I think is best for this country. I don't think being mad at one side or the other, attacking one side or the other, separating us even further, I don't think that's good for the country. And I really hope people can just sort of like accept each other's points of view, and let's all agree that racism is bad. Hey guys, welcome back to Live, Love, Life, and Travel. This is your girl Shamika, and if you're new here, welcome. Just to let you know, I usually try to upload on the daily, and I upload my travel videos every Monday through Thursday and my free talk videos on the weekends. So if you're interested, please hit that subscribe button. Welcome back to Free Talk Friday, where I talk about whatever I want. And today's topic of conversation is the election and the aftermath and my thoughts on it and all that stuff. And I'm kind of dreading this video. Like, I want to make it, but then I don't want to make it. But I feel like I would be incredibly fake if I like pretended it just didn't happen and gloss over it and talk about like what I ate today or something. I feel like I kind of have to talk about it. And I'm not going to pretend that I'm not going to lose any subs in this video, because I probably will, but I'll be as respectful as I possibly can. But I am also going to be honest, and my thoughts and my views, and they're probably not exactly what you think they are. I reacted the way I think a lot of people reacted, which is shocked. I was dumbfounded, flabbergasted, discombobulated. I was shocked. And it wasn't so much as I think Donald Trump is a horrible person, how dare he become president. It wasn't that much of that. It was more because I was just so for sure Hillary Clinton was going to win. I just thought she was going to win hands down by a landslide. I in no way, shape, or form thought Donald Trump was going to win. I laughed at the idea. Like, come on, right? You know, like, no, he's not going to win. Hillary Clinton's gonna be president, and I was so sure of it, like a lot of people were, that, I mean, if somebody would have bet me $1 million, I would be $1 million in debt right now. I really thought he was gonna become president. I really thought Hillary was gonna become president. And so I think that's where a lot of the shock came from. I almost felt betrayed. I almost felt like a little bit like betrayed and lied to. Like, how could this have happened? Like, she won the popular vote, and so most people thought she was going to win. And I think a lot of people, and I think that's a lot of what people are feeling right now. That's a lot of the reactions that people are seeing. A lot of the emotions people are feeling is just people feeling really shocked and almost a little betrayed. It's just funny to actually watch all the news presenters and the talk show hosts and stuff like that, like, have this really almost, it feels like the country as a whole is trying to like decipher a really difficult, confusing riddle. Like, everyone's like, I don't actually know how to respond right now, but okay, he's president, okay. Very interesting to hear people's response. People who are very against Trump and very pro Clinton try to now sort of give their opinion in a respectful way, because now he's president, but at the same time not seem like they were being fake before. It's just very interesting. It's interesting to see everybody's responses. Some people crying, some people very upset, and of course the other side are very happy that their person that they wanted to win is now president. So I was really shocked. My mouth dropped. I screamed, I cried, I said what the fuck a few times. Went through every emotion there was, because I was sad, I was angry, I was disappointed, and then I went through a phase of denial where I was like, I don't want to hear the news about it, I don't want to read it, I don't want anybody to talk to me about it, don't ask me any questions how I feel about it. I want to pretend it didn't happen. I'm gonna wake up tomorrow and Obama's still my president, or Bernie got elected, and I just live in La La Land. I couldn't cope, and I wanted to almost make a video immediately after I found out, but I'm glad I didn't, because I didn't want to record a video of me just acting out of emotion and have a moment to sort of sit back and think about it for a minute. And so that's how I reacted. And this is no disrespect for anybody who voted for Trump. I respect your decision. Half of America voted for him, so I have to respect those people's points of view for the most part. I'll get into that later. But now let me just talk about my views on the government period, because like when I was really angry about Trump winning as president, I kept asking myself, what am I really angry about? Because my beliefs on government would mean that it doesn't really matter who is president. What am I really upset about? And mind you, I in no way, shape, or form whatsoever, not even a tiny bit, think Hillary Clinton would have been a good president. I do not think she would have been a good president at all. I mean, I thought she was a better choice for the job over Trump, but I still think she would have made a shitty president. She was a liar. She was a criminal. She was a fucking wishy-washy ass flip-flopper like nobody else's business. She just kind of went wherever the wind blew. I mean, and she took so many donations for so many big parties that are big lobbyists or corporations that she would have probably spent her first 4 years just paying everybody back what she owed. For the most part, thought she would just be a placeholder and just wait there for 4 years. So I don't think she would have been a good president. I mean, no, not at all. So what does this mean? How do I feel about it now? And I'm glad I didn't record my reaction just as it happened, because then I would have been doing this out of my emotions, and it still feels pretty raw because people are still very much reacting to it. And now I've heard stories of riots and fires and beatings and just attacks and on both sides, and it's really disappointing and scary but understandable all at the same time. My general consensus and my conclusion before I even get to the end of this video is I really feel like as a country we need to all come together. This is a point we need to come together and understand one another, not separate even more. In my very extreme political views, I believe one of the ways this country is ran and controlled is separation. Separation of state, separation of religion, separation of race, sex, gender, social class, and separation of political party. And what I see now is more separation. I feel like now this country is more separated than ever, which for me is a very scary thing, and I think that's the wrong way we need to be going, and also in my opinion just playing right into the hands of what controls and keeps this society in this state that we are hating in the first place. So my general belief in the government period, and I'm not going to talk about this ever again. I probably will hit here and there on it because I have in my previous videos, because I don't think my belief is a mainstream belief. A lot of people see it this way, and this is probably why a lot of people don't come out to vote anymore, is I believe that the government in American politics has been ran off a system of corruption, and I feel like it's been that way since the government has started. The government was created to govern a country, but it was also created to control the people. And you can't just decide to create a government and be the leader without people agreeing to that. So you had to create a system in the society so people would want a leader, who would want someone to govern their country. There have been certain things that's been set in place to keep us controlled by the fear-mongering media, by keeping us in a constant state of fear, stress, and anxiety with the economic crisis and the Great Depression and terrorist attacks, and just the extreme gap between the rich and the poor ever growing bigger and bigger, just keeping us in this constant state of fear. If you create enough chaos, if you create enough fear, if you create enough division, then people will voluntarily look for a leader. They would want a leader because they would want someone to fix the problem. Keeping someone in a constant state of fear, stress, and anxiety makes them more controllable. When you're in a constant state of fear, stress, or anxiety, you're in a constant state of flight or fight. And you kind of have blinders on, because the only thing you're thinking about is, how do I get to my next point? How do I get to my next point? How do I get to my next point? How do I put food on the table? How do I get a job? How do I get my kids in college? Like, that's the only thing you're thinking about. So you can't really pay attention to anything on the peripheral or what's going outside of your eye line, because you're too focused on just trying to survive your life. How can you pay attention to what's going around you? How can you pay attention to really what the government's doing if the only thing you're focused on is how you're going to help me put more food on my plate and send my kids to school? They put systems in place to keep us controlled, by keep us in a constant state of fear, stress, and anxiety, and they put us they also put systems in place to keep us separated by race, gender, sex, religion, social class, and political party. If we all stay separated and we all stay at arms with one another and hating each other, then we can never come together and figure out how to work this all out ourselves. Also, if you have separation, you have one group of people believing that their way is the right way and the other group of people believing that their way is the right way, then you're going to constantly be voting for a government that's going to push your agenda. I'm Republican, or I'm right-wing, I'm Christian, so I'm going to vote for a president that believes in God and prays every day. Or I'm a liberal and I'm for women's rights, so I'm going to vote for a president that believes in women's rights. And for the most part, we should have ignored all their flaws and all their negative things, and we kind of push that under the rug because they promised to push my agenda, so I'm going to vote for them anyway. The government, America, the society has created a goal for people to reach, the American dream, but they've kind of put it slightly out of reach of everybody and is making it harder and harder to get to that point. So if you keep pushing that finish line further and further away, people constantly keep racing after this and becoming more stressed and worked up that they're not getting this goal that they felt was promised to them as American citizens. Then they're going to constantly vote for a government that's going to promise to move that finish line closer to them, that's going to promise to help them get to that finish line, that's going to promise to sort of serve them the American dream on a golden platter. And so they're going to keep voting for a system that they're going to keep, voting for a government, voting for presidents, switching them in and out, to see which president is going to help this happen for me, if that makes any sense. So we as a people, we as a society, we as a country, we are the one making this happen, really. We are the one that constantly keep voting this in, constantly keep pushing presidents and saying, yes, we know it's corrupt, yes, we know you're all evil, but you promised to push my point of view, you promised to help me get that American dream, so I'm gonna vote for you anyway. And of course there's other little things like the chemicals and the shit they put in our food, like fluoride, which pretty much dumbs you down, like the education system that just doctrinizes us into a society that's not working anymore. I don't really think it matters that much who is president. I think there's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes that we don't see. There's a lot of sleight of hands. Everybody's lining their pockets with American money. They're all in bed with each other, in my opinion. Not to say I don't think anybody ever gets into politics with the good intentions. I do believe that a lot of people who want to help improve this country have really good intentions. Unfortunately, I don't think those people ever reach the top pedestal of what actually controls this country. And yes, I don't necessarily think the president has that much control anyway. For the most part, I think the president is more of an ambassador, or more of the face of politics, more the face of the White House. I think they're more of a puppet, and I think there are the elite of the elite of the elite of the elite of the elite that is actually controlling this country. And that is my opinion. That doesn't have to be your opinion. So then if I don't believe the government or the president had that much control, if I think everything's already kind of been put into place beforehand, do our votes count? I'm not really sure. I'm not going to say yes, I'm not going to say no. Then what am I really upset about? Why was I upset if I don't think it really matters who is president? I don't know, and that's the question I kept kind of asking myself, like, why am I this upset? It's not like Hillary would have been that much better, but it's Donald Trump. I think it's just because I was shocked. I'm really upset. I think, I felt betrayed. I think also maybe it's just me being mad I didn't get my way like a child. Like, I literally wanted to throw myself on the floor and throw a giant tantrum like a 2-year-old. I think that's also why I was upset. I think in my mind, in my opinion, saying Hillary Clinton is my president makes more sense and it sounds better coming out of my mouth. But do I think it makes that big of a difference? I don't really think it does, and maybe that's not a popular opinion. I didn't even think that I was gonna say that as I'm recording this video. This is the track that broke your mouth. Do I think Donald Trump is as racist as people say he is, or as he might have even portrayed himself as to be? I don't think Donald Trump is that racist. I definitely think he's a misogynist, but I don't think he is as racist as he might have led people to think he is, or people are projecting him out to be. I think just like a lot of celebrities, he is detached from reality, and he probably lives in his own little social hierarchy class bubble and don't really know exactly what what is actually going on. And even now that he is Mr. President, he's already deleted some stuff off his website, like building a wall and deporting all Muslims. That is now gone off his website. His concession speech, he talked about supporting the LGBT community. So in my opinion, I think we're still going to see that extremist Donald Trump that we saw during his political campaign? I don't think so. I can't be sure of that. But in a lot of people's opinion, a lot of people who voted for Donald Trump are that extreme. But I don't think that's everybody who voted for Donald Trump. I think a lot of people voted for Donald Trump because they were sick of the status quo. They believe that that I believe that the government is so corrupt, that it's ran by Wall Street and money, and they just don't feel like they're being represented. They're sick of politicians coming up on a pedestal and polishing themselves and then speaking all the little pretty words that they think we want to hear, and then never really sticking to their promises. People were just sort of sick of that, and they wanted to vote for something that was just extremely different. And I can respect that, and I also can understand it, and I think this is where we can all come together. I think a lot of us can understand that. I think we're all sick of the status quo. I think we're all sick of and tired of how the government has been run. Yes, there have been some improvements, but there have been vast things that have not been approved. And so I think a lot of us are sick of that. A lot of us want something to change. A lot of us want to shake up the government. And I think we can all agree with that. And I feel like maybe that's where both sides can kind of come together. Yes, there's a people who voted for Donald Trump that are extremists and has points of view that I do not stand for and believe in whatsoever. And I think a lot of people don't. But I also believe that there are a lot of people who voted for Donald Trump who just is like, I'm just sick of seeing the same thing happen, and I wanted something to change. And yes, maybe I'm just throwing something against the wall to see if it sticks, but I voted him because I want to see if maybe he can be the one that shakes government up. And so I think we can all agree on that. We're all sick of the same thing, right? So maybe that's the one thing we can come together and be like, okay, I get that. I see your point. I agree. The government does need to be shaken up. It does need to be drastically changed. On the other side, where the Donald Trump voters can kind of come together and understand the other point of view. I was watching another YouTuber's video, and she was bawling and she was crying her eyes out, and this was very shortly after he got announced president. And she said, I'm a black female who lives in a state that voted majority Trump, and I have most of my friends are from the LGBT and the LGBTQ community. How am I supposed to feel safe and okay living in a state that I feel like don't want me here, that don't like me, don't believe in my values or my views, or don't like the color of my skin? Like, how am I supposed to feel okay? And yes, there's a lot of people can be like, oh my gosh, she's making such a big deal about this, and she's whatever, like, but if there are a lot of supporters who voted for Trump who came out very racist and very misogynist and very close-minded. Let's not pretend that never happened. So then all the Trump supporters get clumped in one big pile of racist goo, and now everyone looks at Trump supporters as that. And so they feel like if I am black and I'm a minority and I'm a female, I have friends who are are marginalized also, but I live in a state where the majority of the people voted against me. How am I supposed to feel about that? You have to try to like maybe understand where the other side is coming from. Also, like, I don't know. I'm just trying to fix everything. Like, what I see happening now is not what I think is best for this country. I don't think being mad at one side or the other, attacking one side or the other, separating us even further, I don't think that's good for the country. And I really hope people can just sort of like accept each other's points of view, and let's all agree that racism is bad and I stand for that. But I don't know what I'm trying to say. I think the good that can come out of this is that a couple of things. maybe the next 4 years people will start paying more attention to the politics and the government and what's going on. Maybe the next presidential election people will come out and vote. People won't just assume what's going to happen is going to happen. That people may see that, wow, people are this sick of the status quo and how the government is being ran, that they're willing to vote someone that's very extreme into office. That this is a wake-up call for all of us to say, okay, now maybe let's work together and vote. I'll vote next time, and I'll vote for... I'm trying to be really respectful for both sides, so I'm trying not to say things that's gonna offend anybody, but I think maybe this is a wake-up call that a lot of Americans needed, that the society needed, that a lot of people didn't vote, a lot of people stayed home, a lot of people voted or threw their vote away. Not that I'm saying voting third party is a throwaway, and that's another thing. Like, maybe next time we can all push third party. Maybe we can say, why are we just focusing on the Democrats and the Republicans? Who else? Does this person have something to say? Does this person have something to say? But then again, with my beliefs when it comes to government, I don't think, oh gosh, I don't know. It's hard for me to make this video because, like, I do have a belief where it makes it seem like none of this really matters, where I don't necessarily believe that it matters who is president. I think they're all in bed together. I think the two political parties is an illusion. Do our vote really counts? I don't know. I can't say yes. I can't say no. I just feel like the government does what it wants to do. The zeitgeist part of me, the conspiracy theories part of me feels like this whole election, this whole 4 years of presidency is just a ploy. It's just to put our attentions here because they're doing something over here. Look at all the shit over here, all the chaos over here, while we mingle and do shit over here, pass laws and shit that you don't know about over here. I don't know, that's just like my little rant. I so much want to go on like a fucking conspiracy theorist rant, but I'm not going to. I just feel like when it comes down to it, all this anger we're feeling shouldn't be directed towards one another. It should be directed towards our government. That we're sick of this. I think people need to pay more attention to local government. I think that's where it's at. And in all, like, you're in control of your life. Like, if you don't like the way your society's been ran, then detach from it. Live your life the way you want to live it, and don't voluntarily give up your freedoms to somebody else. You know, a leader can't lead if you don't agree to be led. I guess that, well, no, because then that would be enslavement, which that's a different story because we kind of are enslaved. You know, wage slave. Oh my gosh, I really want to go on a fucking rant, but I'm not going to. This video does not come out the way I wanted it to come out at all, because it's hard to talk because I don't want to offend anybody. I don't want to go on a crazy conspiracy theorist rant. I just kind of want to say my piece where it's just, let's try to understand each other. Whether you're a Trump supporter, whether you're a Clinton supporter, let's come together. Let's direct that anger and that frustration towards the people who made this happen. Yes, America, we voted this president in, but we voted him in because we're sick of the system that already existed. So let's direct our anger and our frustration there and not each other, because separation is the last thing. More separation is the last thing we need. It's just all, I go to sleep for a week and maybe this all just go away. I don't know. Okay, that's it, guys. I'm done. I don't know. I can't talk. I don't know what to say. Alright, so that's it. If you have any comments, if you want to hear my conspiracy theory that I have about the government, maybe I'll make a video about that. Put in the comment section below. Tell me what your thoughts are. Help me make sense of this. Let's make sense of this together. And yeah, I'm done. Like this video if you want to like it. If you want to continue to follow me on this crazy journey called life, please subscribe. I'm never coming back to America. No, I'm kidding. Please subscribe from Live, Love, Life, and Travel. Oh my gosh.
Crazy in the coconut.
What does that mean?
That boy needs therapy.
I'm gonna kill.